Hey everybody, this is my business partner and friend Kem Hazaglu, owner and CEO of Puzzle Agency. They are a cold email agency out of the UK, doing around 1.8 million a year roughly. Um, super smart guy, taught me a lot, and I'll let him tell you guys his age, his experience, everything like that.
Yeah, so I'll be 23 this year. We have been in this space for around 4 years, online business space, I would say 6.5 years. Um, we initially started this agency as positioned for Facebook ads, Google ads, more of a B2C type where we work with, real estate people, real estate agents, construction companies. That was our initial starting point. And, for the last 3.5, 4 years, we purely switched on to cold email, specifically because the lead quality is much better through cold email, targeting is much better, and B2B is much more scalable. When you get a deal for a B2B company, it's much higher as well. So the retention rates are higher, costs are lower. That's why we did the switch. And, it has been going really well for us for the last 4 years.
Got it. So originally, real estate sort of ads agency with Facebook, and now doing cold email for quite a while. When you were first signing your cold email clients, what was that like, and how would you advise someone who's just starting out to sign their first cold email clients?
I think one of the most important things is case studies. I know most of you guys won't have case studies when you're starting out. I'll explain why it's really important because when you go to a even medium to small sized company, they want proof of concept. What you did for other companies in the same industry. What you did for people that are in similar titles. For example, let me say you're working with a SaaS company in specifically food and beverage, right? And you're talking with the CRO of that company. When you reach out to someone and you don't have any case studies, they'll ask for something. They'll ask for either a free work case study, they'll ask for something. And if you're starting as a beginner, you don't have any case studies, that's completely normal. What I would recommend is give them free work. In this free work time period, you can offer a fully free service where they won't have any experience. All you can offer them a small commission cut, just to see how the process flows, your client relationship, if you can able to generate results for them. And then when you build those case studies, you can reach out to larger companies and convince them to work with you because case studies is 99%. Every time I get into a call, or someone from my team gets into a call, they'll ask for a case study with a similar client. What you did for them, what was the results like, how many interest leads did you close, what's the conversion rate, stuff like that. And if you don't have that, it's going to be really challenging. So that's why I would offer free work if you don't have the case studies. Build the case studies and then offer the paid work. And don't get a client if you don't think you will get the results. That's, I think, one of the most important parts.
Yeah, so definitely getting some case studies. Maybe you have to do some free work in the beginning just to build up, and start to know what you're actually doing as well. Once you're sort of in the flow, you're a new cold email agency, you've signed some clients. What can you do to make yourself more competitive? This space is really tough. A lot of new agencies are popping up. How can you differentiate yourself from the competitors?
Obviously, there's a lot of ways you can differentiate. At the end, it's cold email. We're really similar. Every other company is trying to do the same thing. I think one of the most important things is results, because when you think about client and when you think about their results, if they're actually profitable with your service or they have an ROI, they're going to stick with you. If you don't have that, they're going to leave. No one is going to stay with you because they feel like you're a good person or something like that. When we both know that. So the most important things is results. And there's a few ways you can improve your results. You can try different type of styles on your emails. You can try to include a one sentence case study. You can do API personalization. You can add other kind of stuff, spin tags, hyper spin tags to improve your cold email copies, and always split test it. I had many instances where I tried two different copies and I had got completely different results. I sent, for example, 10,000 emails with a copy. Let's say I generated 100 results. With the other one, I only generated 10 results, for example. I had cases like that. Obviously, it's not like that for every kind of A/B testing, but it's normal to see results like that. That's why it's important to split test and give the clients the best value you can. Because if you don't give a client the value they deserve, they're going to leave and move to another company. As you said, it's a really competitive space.
So for you at Puzzle, how important is, let's say, finding the right client? Because you can do good results with email, but if the client can't convert the leads, or if the client just isn't, doesn't have the budget for this, How important is that element, and what types of companies would you recommend people sort of try and offer this service to?
I think when you're choosing a client, like we even have a lot of inbound leads coming, in a daily basis. Clients asking, "Can I work with you?" Referrals coming because of the large client base we have. But we don't want to take every client because not every client is doable. Even if their industry is doable, their title is doable, their reach out is doable. We don't want to take them because some clients they can be a pain, because they, and you're just starting the first day, lead doesn't come or lead is the wrong league, whatever, they start complaining. So it's really important to choose your clients and for them to understand how cold email works because not everyone knows how this space works. And when I choose my clients, that's one of the things I, look at. I look who are they as a person? Are they doable? Are they compatible? Or if that's not the case, I don't want to work with them. Secondly, industries to target, I think, marketing and advertising, those kind of industries, consulting, it's really saturated. I'm not saying you can't get clients. We have clients in that space. We have a data client, we have an intent data client, we have an SEO agency, we have a Google Ads and Facebook agency, we have a Amazon consulting agency in that space. We have a lot of clients. But I don't really want to take clients in that space because the deal size is smaller and it's really saturated. You can get larger deals in, industries such as oil and energy, transportation, supply chain, medical devices. Those kind of industries are less saturated and they have the capital to invest. So that's really important to target unsaturated industries. There's I think in, even like tools like Apollo Instant, you should have more than 100 industries or like 50 to 100 industries, and you have a lot of different options. Just think of what is not saturated, what people are not reaching out to, and if it's B2B. I think that's the most important two criteria I have.
Got it. So that's sort of the results, the cold email side, right? But as far as the business side, what do you think gives Puzzle an advantage? I mean, you talk to me a lot about having low costs. How important is that when you're running email, having, optimized cost structure?
I think our costs are extremely low because for Inbox, we have relatively low cost domains. We have relatively low cost employee workforce. We have the relatively low cost because, it's now in a like we have a structured agency where everyone knows their responsibility. So, I don't have to deal with, talking to, people in my company saying you have to do this. I don't have to distribute the work. They wake up and they know what to do. So that's why it's much more efficient for us. That's why I don't have to employ, 50 different people at the same time. That's one of the efficiencies we have. And, I really care about my employees, who I work with. For example, we have many instances where, one of my employees lost a relative. We had many instances where my employees got injured. They had, health issues. I always give them the respect and I always try to be like a friend to them because, if you go bad with your employee, that can really affect your, company. And employees are 99% of your company. You're just someone in your company, And okay, you give the decisions, but without your workforce, if they say, "I want to go today," you don't have to do anything. You can't really do anything. So I think that's one of the most important things for us because, for example, think about a situation like this, where you have a customer representative, you have a bad relationship with them. They can do anything you want with that client. They can say bad things about you. They can tell whatever you're doing in the agency, what you thought about that agency. It's just a lot of complication. I think having strong employee relationships and having a efficient business structure and having low costs, I think that's the most important three things to scale and get more profitable clients and get, higher retention rates. I think that's the most important things we're currently focusing on.
Right, that makes sense. So for the business side, scaling, A, is having the low cost structure for new clients, and B, having the workforce to support new clients. When you were first starting to sort of scale up the agency, obviously you started it, just on your own. When did you decide to bring on new people? And what was that process like? What mistakes did you make that you could learn from? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I think one of the mistakes I did in the beginning was I didn't really want to employ anyone because I didn't trust anyone. I didn't think they would give the same results. I think that's a false claim that I made inside, false opinion, specifically because you can't scale by one-man operation. You can maybe make 5K, 10K, 15K, but it will never be in 100, 150 or million a month range. Never, ever, because you would need different chain of commands, you need different type of people responsible of other stuff. The first thought I had was, for example, you need to open mailboxes, you need to buy domains, you need to have a customer representative. When I had my like fourth client, that's the point where I said, we need to take more people in. So that was a turning point for me. And don't be scared of employing people, because some people think it's going to increase my costs, decrease my profitability. I think that will improve your efficiency, because if you work as a single man operation, that can really impact your results side, because you can't really manage with all the clients you have. But also, you don't have to employ people for 10 15K. I think that's a bit silly on the cold email space, because maybe you can get someone to do the calls for a few Ks, manage some clients for a few Ks, but it's not worth it to give someone 10 15K just to manage clients. Maybe if you're making around 1 million a month, it's worth it.
So how are you able to get labor for cheap? I mean, instead of hiring, let's say, people from the UK or people from the US, where would you recommend hiring them from?
I think there's a lot of different countries. It depends also, your working time zone. Obviously, India, Pakistan, we know about those countries. And they're like, I met a lot of good people from there. Like, I think I have different opinions on that. I have a lot of Pakistani workers, like we're like really close with them. Also from Europe, there's a lot of different companies that have lower wages. Macedonia, Kosovo, where we are, they have really low wages. Turkey, where I'm from, minimum wage is low. All of these countries have some kind of English speaking background, and you can communicate with them. So those are the countries that you should leverage when it comes to lower cost labor. But if you need someone to write scripts, you should focus on countries such as the UK, US, Canada. You can't go really cheap on that side, if there isn't an exception. So I think that's the point you need to make, versus lower quality work and higher quality work, which we can distribute, such as lower quality work, opening inboxes, buying domains, managing replies. That could be lower cost. And when it comes to managing client relationships, managing campaigns, writing scripts, I think that's the point where you need to really have some kind of quality.
Yeah, definitely. You want to start with, there are certain things that you can outsource first, like the opening mailboxes and that kind of stuff. As you get more complex, like creating scripts, all that kind of stuff that requires more English proficiency, all that kind of stuff, it makes perfect sense. As far as selling clients, I think you're still involved in the sales process a bit. What is that process like? How are you able to convince companies to pay you a monthly retainer as opposed to, a revenue share arrangement or something like that?
I think now we're in a slot where, for example, we have one of our clients, he refers us, 5 to 6 clients a month consistently. We're really close with him. So, the clients that comes directly from him, they already know us. So I don't really have to do the convincing to them. The hard part is when it comes to large companies where you don't have any connections. I think for that, I really use different strategies. I really want to push forward the clients we're working with so they can trust me. Secondly, if how hard it is closing a first call if you're doing a retainer or some kind of high commission fee. That's why what I try to do is when I finish a call and they're interested, I try to book a follow-up firstly, and secondly, I want to put case studies, referrals from current clients that I gave good results, so they can contact. I know that they will give a good review. So those are the most important two things. But if you don't have that, I don't think it's a good way to go for referrals, because it's going to be really hard for you to charge 5, 10, 15, 20K a month for a client. Even if you think that you're going to give results, they won't believe you. So you should go for a commission structure, rev share, or something like a free work for you to make the first step. And when you feel like you're giving good results, even if they don't pay you back their commission, you know that you can generate results for similar companies. You can reach out to similar companies. I think you shouldn't really focus on the money part when you're first reaching out to clients and getting your first clients in.
Right. So initially, it's just about building that skill. Maybe you take a client, you're not making that much money or any money, and you're just learning the actual skill of cold email. And once you do that, you can reach out to similar ones and actually get them on retainers. What's a typical structure you might charge, if you're comfortable sharing, when you're offering these services? And how can you explain something like cold email to the chief revenue officer of a 20 million a year company?
I think I would say like 30-40% of the people I get into a call, they either know about cold email, they heard about it, or they used it before. So that's easy for us to explain to them. And pricing, I think we have really low pricing compared to other companies. I can give you an example. For 100K reach out, we charge somewhere between 3 to 3.5K a month, because the costs we have are really low. I heard people charging 10, 15K for that. Don't forget, when you charge higher prices, the ROI goes lower for that client. So they'll have lower retention rates. So that's why I would rather have lower profitability on that specific client, but retain them for a longer time of time frame. And it's like 70% of the work is to launch that client. After that, you don't really have anything to do. Maybe you just want to change some scripts. You just want to buy a bit more inboxes, recycle them. That's the only work. So pricing, what was the other questions you had on that space?
So pricing, you keep costs very low so you can charge affordably, and that allows you to get really high ROI for your clients. That makes sense. On that side of things, how important is it, A, retaining clients, and B, getting consistent referrals from the satisfied clients? And how can you encourage clients to give you referrals? How can you retain clients? Obviously getting them good results, but that kind of thing. What are some things you do that allow you to consistently get more customers, inbound rather than just outbound?
I think one of the most important thing is, I think everyone will agree, to build relationships. And most people will say build relationships and move to another topic, but I'll explain how I build relationships. I try to do favors for that company. That would be, for example, if they have an urgent thing on Sunday, I would say to my workforce, like, do we have something urgent? Let's try to make this client happy. That's one of the things we do. Other thing would be, being friendly. Don't really focus on specifically, talking with that client about business. Sometimes I open different topics about their family, how the life is going, how the business is going. In that way, you can build that relationship. And that's one of the most important points if you want to get referrals. Because if you're like a friend with that company, you can say, he sends me deals. He, for example, says, I have a company that does sell bulk salmon, to food and beverage companies, food production companies. I check if it's doable. I tell him, yes, we can do this, or we can't do this. Or I have another client, he refers a lot of manufacturing companies to us, so he's really known in that space, so he can refer me. I think getting a new client is much harder than retaining a one. So when you get a client, I think you should focus on how you can retain them, either with lower costs, giving them good results, giving them good customer support, because most people will think, oh, this client will leave, I'll get another one. Trust me, it's much harder to onboard a client, writing new scripts, dealing with their complaints, dealing what they want. It's much harder. But when you structure a client, it's much easier.
So that's the side of, acquiring and retaining those clients, which is a big point I think a lot of people miss, especially in our space where we're doing customer acquisition for our clients. So we think for ourselves, oh, we'll just acquire more customers, blah, 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 blah. But for a sustainable business, you want to be retaining clients, generating good results. It's much cheaper to keep a client than it is to get a new one. That said, you're managing 60 clients or something. How can you manage that many clients? What systems do you have in place for communication, both internally with your own team and also externally with your clients? How do you manage that?
So I have specifically 3 script writers, so copywriters where they write scripts. 2 of them are from Canada. I have 1 person from my own country which writes the scripts. And then we have some inbox managers who replies. I have a few people from South Africa. I have a guy from Pakistan. They write the response. It's more of a copy paste response. And to manage those clients, what we do is we appoint certain accounts to certain clients so they can write new scripts. They can do testing. They can check which script is performing good. And then when it comes to replying, I divide that workforce as well. I don't give all clients at once to one specific person because it will be extremely hard for them to manage. That's why I do the dividation when it comes to giving different clients to different employees with different tasks. I think that's why you need to have a strong workforce. I think we have like 13, 14 people inbox side. We have 2 people, 2 more to come. So in total, like we have 16, 17 people with different tasks, inbox opening, responding, managing clients, looking with, analytics, writing new scripts. There's different tasks. But, you don't really need a huge workforce with 150 employees if you want to scale. You can appoint you know, to a person like 10, 15 clients, and they can manage all of them.
Absolutely, that makes sense. So that's sort of the human capital part. Do you use any sort of like Slack or these other platform softwares to manage clients, or is it more human interaction mostly?
For all of our, like, we have for our, employees, we have a group chat. We also have for the inbox side, we have the two different groups. I write, if there's any updates, if there's any problems, I talk with them. Other than that, that's how it goes. I group employees as well. For example, I'll give an example from the inbox side. What we do, inbox side, we have few, people that are working for us on the inbox side. What they do is they, ask questions. They work together. They support each other. And for example, for the script side, I told I have two guys from Canada, one person from my home country, and they work together as well just to improve their results. So that's how I group people. That's how I, make them motivated. I give them bonuses as well. That's one of the most important parts because if you give them a flat salary, sometimes people can get discouraged. That's normal. That's why it's important to encourage people with giving bonuses to them.
Yeah, it's really interesting you say that because you're really focused on, manual, dealing with your employees, that kind of thing. A lot of people are really obsessed with using Airtable and Zapier and all this stuff, and those things have their place. Obviously, I'm sure you use some of them, but it's interesting that you're doing 1.8 million a year. Your margins are somewhere 80 to 90%. 23 years old, and you don't really overcomplicate things. You keep costs low, you keep clients because you give them good results. You've been doing it for a while. What would you say to someone who's, perhaps they're obsessed with all these automations and creating new fancy materials and that kind of thing? Would you say that it's more important to just focus on the basics? So what are those basics and how can you do that?
I think one of the most important things is, you don't really need those automations in the beginning side of things. After scale up, maybe you can use a few automations. We use Zapier for the inbox side. Other than that, I don't think I really use any automations because, you can use automations on the payment side. Maybe to communicate with clients, you can have some automated text, this, that. But other than that, you don't really need anything else on the cold email space. That's just my opinion. Maybe some people will be using automations and they would be much more successful on what I'm doing. So I would respect that as well. That's just my own opinion on that topic.
So when you were scaling to around 1.8 in ARR, how did that growth look? I mean, usually we assume it's, sort of a compounding thing, but did you have any months where you were really up and then you fell down, you had issues? What were those issues? How could you get over them? And if you haven't had those issues, like how have you prevented them from happening?
I think growth is really fast on cold email. You can have like 5 clients a month and you can go to 15 in a month. It just depends on the capacity you have and for you to onboard, the amount of clients you want. That's one of the important things. And, obviously, for example, it's Christmas season, New Year season. It's hard to get clients, but, after 1st of January, 2nd of January, it's much more easier to have clients coming in. That's why, like, seasons are important. Obviously, this is a season where we don't really get any clients. Last client we onboarded was like 20 days ago, 15 days ago, but we try to retain as much as we can. Obviously, we have around 80% retention rate. 20% of clients leave after the second month. That's because we don't really do harsh contracts as well. We don't really want to because for our side as well, we know that we can get a lot of clients, but some clients, it's not just a fit, It's not worth it to, communicate, work with a client for, 3K a month. It's not worth it because the time they steal or time they require for your work is much higher than the amount that you charge to them. So that's the points, and we can have highs and lows. That's completely normal. The important thing is try to retain as much as clients as you can on that road, rather than focusing on getting new ones.
Got it. So you don't force, initially at least, you don't force clients into long-term commitments. Specifically, how does that look? I mean, a client comes in, you do something for a month for them. What does that cost them? And then after a month, what is it that you propose to them for them to continue?
For the first month, it could be anywhere from 2K to 20K. depending on the quantity they want to send. Obviously, it could be lower. If they want to send 3-4 million a month, it's lower higher than that. But after the first month, what we do is we ask for a 3, 6, or 12-month contract, and according to that, we can adjust the pricing. But the first month, we don't really want to do any kind of contract, specifically because we increase our pricing every passing day as well, and we don't want to lock someone in for 2K and continue for 12 months or 6 months where we're going to increase the price to 3K, 4K in 2-3 months. So that's why if I wasn't really confident with the results and the clients, if I thought that I'm not going to get any more clients, I wouldn't really do this. But I know that every day we'll have the flow starting from January the 1st, referrals, normal people that come through cold email, Twitter. We'll have a lot of different channels that people come, even from LinkedIn. I had a few clients coming in. Twitter, I think till today I had like 10 different calls. We signed 2 of them. 3 of them they're looking to start on 1st of January. So that's how the process works on my side.
Got it. You mentioned increasing pricing. When you first started, what did you charge, and what do you charge now? And how did you go about increasing pricing without losing clients? Did you increase price on current clients? How did that look?
I can't really remember how much I charged. I think it was anywhere from $800 to 1.2 for sending like 25 or 50K emails. I can't really recall what was the initial pricing. But currently, it's much more different pricing. And for like ongoing clients as well, we did some increase on pricing because, we can't really onboard people for 4 or 5K and then have 1.2K for the old clients. We have really high margins. That's really a flexibility we have on, the operations side. That's why, we're able to onboard a lot of people and retain them. And, if we're not happy with the price, they're not happy with the price, or they're not happy with the results, we just stop working. It's not end of the world to stop with a client. We had I think we only had 1 dispute across like 3-4 years. We had 0 disputes on, with our clients, even if we separate. It's more of a timing issue rather than results. We had few clients, just they weren't happy with the results, which was extremely narrow audience, extremely hard clients. But most of the cases, we don't really lose a client. It's more of timing or pricing, those kind of issues that we have.
Got it. So you've spoken a lot about how you used to run your agency, how you're running it now, and how it's really successful. What would you say for someone starting out? I mean, we said they should do some free work or very low cost work, get some case studies, focus on one industry. Apart from that, if you were just starting out today, what would you do differently?
I think I would definitely focus on retaining clients more and result side, because I really didn't focus on that in the beginning, where I didn't really focus on results. I would think I could get more clients, and I don't really care about the work I did. That was a mistake I did. So results, you should definitely focus on client relationships. You should definitely focus, and don't really try to get new clients in where you can retain the current ones, because that would basically mean you'll be recycling clients. Okay, you can have like 60%, even like 50% retention rate. That's not extremely bad. But if you're having like 20, 10, or 30% retention rate, that's a big problem. Ours is around anywhere from like 80, 85% currently. We lose like every 10 clients, we lose 1 client or 2 clients. It's like that. It's not a big deal, And, that's specifically because, it's winter season. Some people, they want to stop, and we have much more flexible, contracts. If we had the 12-month thing, we would really don't have anyone leaving, the services. So I think that's the most important part. Results, that's really important. Building case studies, we already said that. And, you should definitely focus on, how we can expand your business with retaining your current clients. So those are the most important steps. And, agency model, we all would agree that it's not a model that will make you billions, but you can definitely scale it a bit. And I think that's the point where, if your agency is profitable, you should move on to other industries such as SaaS, finance. There's a lot of different opportunities. We already discussed that. So I think that's the most important thing. You can get into the game with agency, rather that's ads, cold email, and then expand into other industries.
Yeah, definitely. You can build a skill set with an agency and then later go on to have your own company where you deploy that skill set in. Apart from that, that's sort of the advice for the beginners. Let's say you're a guy who's already running an agency. What can that guy do to let's say he's doing 20, 30K a month. What do you think is stopping him from getting to 100,000 a month, big 6 figures? signing bigger clients or retaining or hiring staff. What do you think the biggest barrier is there, and how can somebody solve it?
I think one of the issues is sending the amount of cold emails. You know, if you send more emails, you get more people. And the other thing is sales. In a sales call, you know, if you're a beginner, if you don't know how to sign a client, if you don't have any experience, it's going to be hard to talk with big clients. And targeting is another important thing. You know, you can't really target the CEO in a, you know, a Fortune 500 company, or, you know, a Nasdaq traded company, New York Stock Exchange company. It should be a lower titled employees, which I mean like, you know, directors, maybe vice presidents, or, you know, and maybe a CFO, really hard, but, you know, maybe you should try something like that, or, you know, higher level manager, you know, maybe a general manager that could give decision making, but they're not the, you know, sole owner of a company. That's one of the important things if you want to get a high profile client. And other than that, you should build, you know, your client base, because all of these companies, they have relationship with other companies in the same state, or, you know, they know people from other states, from university, you know, they have their family, friends, you know. That's why, you know, wealthy people know wealthy people. So it's really important to, you know, build a relationship with that client, and then you can get a lot of referrals. But it's really important to know that when you get a referral from an ongoing client, you need to give the best results you can, because if you don't get the best results, you can even lose that client because you give terrible results, you know. That's why it's a risky play. But if you know that you're going to give results to that specific ongoing client, and the client he brings in, that then it's worth it. We had many, you know, situations where we declined clients because we knew that it's going to be really hard. That's why, you know, that's my advice is on, you know, someone trying to scale from 20K to 50, 60K. Um, Personally, when you pass the 10K range, it's much more faster. Also, you should diversify your income levels. You know, you shouldn't really focus specifically on agency. You should do different business models, all generating like 30, 40, 50, and that's the way to even go to 100, 150K. Because cold email, it's a good model. You can earn a lot of money. You can maybe make it like 200 a month, but it will never be in a case where you're making 15 million a month. You know, you get what I mean.
Well, I appreciate you joining me. It's been a pleasure inside the 4 Points in Pristina. Some people walking by and causing noise. But yeah, I think people have a lot to learn. This is Kem. Give him a follow on Twitter. Hope you got some value out of this video. And yeah, thanks for joining me, my friend.